Britain's condition is deteriorating day by day. Once seen as the symbol of royalty and elegance, it is now struggling with homelessness, rising immigration, and widespread drug abuse. Public services like healthcare and policing are collapsing, while even shops and outlets stand abandoned. Many citizens have already left in search of a better life abroad. Yet the population continues to grow due to the steady influx of immigrants. Britain, who once ruled the quarter of the world, has seen 5 prime ministers in the last 6 years.
You took a massive culture
in what is a national emergency
that hates women,
heavy clashes in England's southwest,
hates children,
a suspected child predator runs from police,
hates gays.
Central London was brought to a screeching halt so that some Muslims could celebrate Al-Shura Day.
Hates white people.
Police tried to keep 2 groups of protesters apart in
hates Western civilization.
Well, we're here to demand the closure of the Israeli embassy, since it is the representative in London.
Brought them into Western civilization and said, hey, maybe because now that they're on different soil, they'll change their behavior.
Welcome to Sleuthing Scams, and today we'll be talking about how Britain is reaping what it sowed. It takes a lot of time, effort, and heart to create these videos for you, so kindly hit that subscribe button. For you, it's just a click, but for us, it's our next month's motivation. Britain has been surrounded by problems from head to toe, and today we'll discuss 3 major ones. January 2025. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, took direct aim at UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in a series of tweets. Musk accused Starmer of being complicit in the failure of authorities to protect victims and prosecute abusers during his time as Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013. That's when the issue of grooming gangs truly entered the mainstream. What followed didn't just shock Britain, it shocked the entire world. These grooming gangs, made up largely of men from the Mirpur region of Pakistan, had been exploiting children for decades. Investigations later revealed that police were well aware of what was happening, but many officers admitted they avoided taking action out of fear of sparking community tensions. The result? Over 10,000 children abused. Immigrants who had once come to Britain in search of a better life ended up bringing deeply rooted mindsets and cultural practices that clashed with British society. Today, if you walk through Britain, it's hard to find the old Britain. The landscape is covered with people from every corner of the globe. September 5, 2023. Birmingham City Council issued a Section 114 notice indicating it couldn't balance its budget. In practice, this is akin to a bankruptcy declaration for a UK local authority. And guess which city after London hosts the most immigrants? Birmingham. But the real question is, who is responsible for this? Why do so many immigrants from the subcontinent hold on so rigidly to their ideologies? Why is it that instead of adapting to Britain, they are changing Britain to fit their own way of life? To answer that, we have to go back to 1947, the year Britain finally left the Indian subcontinent after nearly 200 years of rule. But they didn't just leave, they divided. And not by culture, not by language, not by geography, but by religion. That division planted the seeds of a mindset where religion became the ultimate identity. Generations grew up defining themselves not by progress or education, but by which faith they belonged to. And when they migrated to Britain, they carried that same lens with them. Religion dictated how they dressed, how they lived, and even how they raised their children. Instead of blending into a new culture, many clung to old divisions, recreating the same walls that once tore their homeland apart. And that is why, decades later, the shadow of 1947 still lingers in modern Britain. In short, Immigration has created many problems for Britain. But can the people really complain when it was Britain itself that shaped the very conditions of the countries these immigrants are now coming from? Another area that has suffered a steep decline is the public sector. The NHS, once Britain's pride, is now crumbling under pressure. A 2024 survey revealed that more than 2.7 million people had to wait over 3 weeks just to see a doctor. The situation isn't much better with the police. Between 2022 and 23, over 2.1 million crimes were left unsolved. That's more than 6,000 cases slipping through the cracks every single day. Even murders left unresolved have doubled. And all of this is happening while the very forces meant to protect and serve are shrinking in number. The truth is, Britain has only itself to blame. Years of underfunding, austerity cuts, and political short-termism hollowed out its own public services, leaving the NHS, police, and councils too weak to cope with today's pressures. For decades, Britain has leaned too heavily on finance, property, and consumer spending while neglecting real, productive growth. Manufacturing, once the backbone of the economy, has shrunk to less than 10% of GDP compared to nearly 30% in the 1970s. Instead of building industries and innovation, the country became dependent on the City of London and housing bubbles to drive prosperity. Wages have stagnated since the financial crisis of 2008, and productivity has barely grown. In fact, between 2010 and 2019, UK productivity rose by just 0.3% a year, one of the weakest rates in the developed world. Brexit only deepened the cracks, cutting investment and trade while raising costs. The result? An economy that looks wealthy on the surface but struggles to provide stability for its people. Britain's short-term fixes may have propped it up, but without real growth, the foundations remain dangerously weak. Britain today is living through the consequences of its own choices. From mass immigration shaped by its colonial past, to the collapse of public services weakened by years of neglect, to an economy built on shaky foundations instead of real growth, every problem traces back to seeds sown long ago. A nation that once ruled a quarter of the world now struggles to manage itself. The lesson is clear. You cannot escape the consequences of history, no matter how far you run. Britain is not just facing decline, it is reaping exactly what it sowed. We've also done a detailed video about the South Korean scam filled with some shocking facts. And with that, it's time for us to call it a day. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon. Do comment if you have any suggestions.